Hi and welcome back to my channel. As promised, this is part 2 for the pink dress from Black Butler. In this video I will show you how I created the underskirt. I will use a pattern that I created several years ago when I created the hoop skirt. This skirt actually consists of two skirts. The underskirt, which is the main body of it, is actually a 3/4 circle skirt, and then the overlay on top of it is actually a half circle skirt. So for the main body, I will be cutting out actually 3 of these pattern pieces on the fold, and for the overskirt I will be cutting out 2 of these pattern pieces on the fold. And for the entire dress I cut out so many ruffles, but most of them did go on this underskirt. To measure out my ruffles, I usually use 2.5 to 3 times the length of the hem of my skirt to make the ruffles. Out of this white fabric, I do cut various size or width of ruffles because I will need some on the main skirt that I'm making now. I will also need a ruffle going around the top portion and a couple extra ruffles to kind of mimic a second skirt underneath the overlay skirt, as well as a waistband that I'm cutting here. This skirt, I went ahead and sewed all the seams together except for the back seam. I did leave that open because it will be easier to sew the ruffles all on without it being closed. I apparently did not record any of that except for this little portion right here. This is my pile of ruffles. I will be setting some of these aside. As I said, some of this is a waistband and other things are for ruffles that are going at the top portion of the dress as well. But for the ruffles for the skirt, I go ahead and attach those all together by the short sides, so that way I can have the 2.5 to 3 times the length that I need to ruffle these. After serging all my seams and hemming this skirt, it is time to attach the 3 ruffles for the dress. Here's an image of what I am creating. For the ruffles on this, I did just take the strip of white cotton that I cut out and I attached some frilly lace to each side. And then I gathered each ruffle down the middle of the cotton strip. And I tried to space these ruffles out evenly, roughly about 4 to 5 inches apart on the center back of the skirt. I do not need the skirt to be completely ruffled all the way around. That is why I am just making a faux back piece for the skirt. And then I go ahead and sew each ruffle on down the middle of the ruffle. And time to set that skirt aside. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the overlay skirt. For the ruffles on this skirt, it is actually two separate ruffles. However, the top ruffle, I went ahead and took a 3-inch wide strip of fabric and a 5-inch wide strip of fabric and sewed those together lengthwise. The reason why I did this is because that way I have a straight seam to sew it on with. And here's an image of what I'm talking about as far as the layered ruffles. And I go ahead and gather this roughly with my machine after I hem both sides of the ruffle. This will be the top ruffle, so I go ahead and actually iron down those gathers to make sewing it a little bit easier to deal with, because right now it's all just twisted and everything else. And actually I did both ruffles this way. Since this skirt will not be sewn up the center back, I do go ahead and fold over my edges by a 1/2 inch. I will top stitch those down. So the bottom ruffle, I went ahead and put the wider strip to the hem, and I sewed that down the middle of the seam of the ruffle. And then I also went ahead and sewed the top portion of this ruffle on as well. And then I went ahead and attached the second ruffle about 3 inches from the bottom of the hem, And this one I did not sew the top portion. And I found this braided trim at Joann's, and this is going to go in the center of the top ruffle on that seam. And I attached this by machine. I had black thread through the needle and I had white thread through the bobbin to kind of hide those stitches. With all the ruffles attached, I go ahead and match up the skirts at the waist. For the underskirt of this, I do go ahead and sew up the side seam since this will be a side closure on it. However, I do leave about 6 to 8 inches from the top unsewn. For the waistband, this is a heavy skirt, so I do reinforce it with some interfacing. And then I will fold the waistband in half lengthwise, iron that down, and then I will fold just one side lengthwise about a ½ inch up from the bottom, and then attach the unfolded side to the skirts. With the one side sewn on, I go ahead and fold it over the edges of my skirts, and I will hand stitch that down. And then I go ahead and add some hooks and eyes, and the underskirt is finished. And to create the fullness of this skirt and to hold it out, I did use my hoop skirt that I made for her a while back. If you want to check out that video, I'll leave a link below and in the iCard, but it came out perfectly. Next video, I will show you how I created the pink overdress to go along with this. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time. Bye.